I will be evaluating the landing error scoring system, or the LESS assessment. This is a great test for indicating if an athlete has a risk for injury during jumping and landing movements. It's a good test for most sports because most sports include jumping. This will be based on a 13 yes-no questionnaire assessed by a sports performance professional. The lower the score, the less risk of injury. It begins using a 12-inch platform, and there will be a mark out in front of the platform that is half of the height of the athlete. They'll jump off 2 feet, land on 2 feet, jump straight up, and then repeat the process. The evaluation begins with the athlete standing on top of the platform, jumping off the platform off of 2 feet, landing in front of the marked area on 2 feet, squatting down, jumping straight up with no pause in between. They will repeat this process 3 times. Then the professional should be recording the athlete jumping from the front and from the right side. This will give a good view of flexion, extension, and movement within the sagittal plane to start the assessment questionnaire. Starting position, both feet are on the box. His arms will swing back before he jumps. In this next frame, we can see that his knees and hips are in line before he begins to take off. Now we can see that his knees are turning inward and his toes are starting to pronate, which is putting him in a compromised position to begin. Now we'll begin the 13 questions that will be giving a yes-no answer, and based on that yes-no, we'll be given a 0 or a 1 point. The higher the score, the more movement deficiencies the athlete possesses and the greater risk for injury. The first question, is there trunk flexion on contact with the ground? No, so he gets a 0. Is there lateral trunk flexion at contact? And he is vertical, so he also gets a 0 for that. Initial foot contact is symmetric. Stance is not greater than or less than shoulder width, so he gets a 0 for both of those questions. There is no ankle plantar flexion, so he gets a 0 for that. Next, we look at foot position, internally or externally rotated greater than 30 degrees, and he does not have that either, so a 0 for both of those. We can see at initial contact he has knee valgus, so he gets a 1 for that. You can see his knee flexion angle is greater than 30 degrees, so he gets a 0 for that. Next, we see that his hips are flexed at initial contact, which gives him a 0, and his hip flexion at maximum knee angle is more than initial contact, and that is no, so he gets a 1 for that. Here we can also see there is not more trunk flexion than at initial contact, so he gets a 0. This athlete will receive a score of 6, which indicates a slight risk of injury and that his movement patterns need to be adjusted to help him. The pros of this test are they're easy, inexpensive, they're valuable for risk assessment, and the cons are based on the professional's assessment. So I hope you understand the landing error score system assessment a little bit better after this video. Thanks.